think you're next to Phil. Leave it here.
Sit here.
Seltzer on the drink on the right. Yeah.
For the hun sier også kan jobbe. Ja, som går vi ned, som går de sa I sa ni hun går I hoten. Nei, det har det ikke ni hun går det skal da nei ni hun det. Na går han de efter nei kan hen. De når kan gå hun da går til når går det godt nei og hen det går det godt. Men da na går ja, Tony window der Tony one take say der scanner I då når du jo høg. Na går ja. Ni de hun går det hun går jo sine tone. Nyt skada hørt var en godt gå her I den var de efter den var der nå her. Der net til de når det kom godt gå her. Der han her til har en job der de nej net til nå har det til nå hen kvar. Til nå en twas sat ni og I går det igen har sig. Til nå de går har den godt gå her og stakku. Men der nej net nå tager et kaj som går de hot den det så når ni så går vi hunda. Men der nej de ved hvad der nå ja skada han då han godt gå her hvad de til nå her. I tino har så en job der net til de det kom godt gå her. Der hvad de tino han er gå ikke ved den han der han som går det så. Nej, scanner og når du nyt og når han jager en jungle der var nej nej vi har net så nu ni har en tværs nej og net så godt går I nej det igen har sat ikke nok gå ikke men der nej det ved hvad der nu ja skada han då godt gå her hvor de tino her nej og gå ikke ved den han der han som går det så der net til de når det kom godt gå her der net så de over nej nej om vi jo huske jo stakku nej onkel jeg tog Janik nej nej det jo tog nu ni I det har vi nægget scanner at gøre det nu. Nej, to har godt net vundet godt net to de over ja. Men der nej det ved hvad der nu ja skade han dog godt ikke her hvor de tino her net så de over ja. Der net de net det kom godt ikke her. Der nej har vi vacation gå nej det så går vi hos dunio. Nej ikke og vi har vanet han har de hunda så går vi vakanisten. Nej det net et så der har det vundet dunio ikke ikke så godt net han der godt. Men der også net set what ja in the kaka kwa and der også net et så der så kaka kwa and der net to yet ja der er nu just nok going and nej net og vi har net så nu ni han de hunda and nej det var det så nu så altså han de for den direkt så nu ni han de hunda and der nej det ved hvad der nu ja skade han du godt ikke her og det til nu her net altså net han de for den direkt så nu ni han de hunda så kan her det der net til de når det kom godt ikke her der så går jeg der går net går jeg nu går det gør det jo kan ja det så nu til den jo så nu tok nok det så men Jesus du nu det så han der nej har hvad dog jeg tog en her og jeg går der går de on the way så han ja det nej se net det det net der nej her så går jeg der går net går jeg nu går det gør det jo kan ja det jeg kunne ikke se en mand her jeg går det men der er noget og det går jo ikke godt ikke har gæst og der er noget hun var jeg der går net sæt bak over net skal jeg der jo nej net hun der synes net hun går tun det net har var net som går det sig net jeg vil jo og der er nej det ved hvad der nu ja skade han der går ikke her og sæt hvad når her net sæt bak over net skal jeg der jo og der nej går to net og sæt hvad når han og hvad det til når han og gør en jo godt det det jo kan ja det der er net til det når det kom godt ikke her der er så ni har jeg set som går det så i nej høj højen jeg gør det jo så har gået den zone her der nu har jeg godt der kvart så nu tok nok det så men nej her jeg det til dok der kvart men det ni var sådan det har sagt det har det ikke gået en kost men nej her som går der synes det net jungle home som går ind i andre til vagt men nej det var det sådan så også som går en kvart men der nej det var det nu ja skade han der går ikke her og sæt hvad der han ikke gang her kan han har net som går det så der net til det når det kom godt ikke der net to ni når jeg var godt for gå ind i kan han jo der når gerne en give hok der hvad der har så hvad der hvad kan han and tuosta en kestä sen kehän vaat. Just like this is how we start any of our meetings or gatherings, and we start out by giving thanks to all of creation and what the Creator has given to us. We start first. We greet the people that we're all well and healthy, and that we come together tonight and we greet each other. I kind of bundle it up together just for the sake of time to just briefly mention some of the things that we give thanks for: the waters, the plants, the animals, the medicines, the winged beings, and all the animals in the water. So we kind of group those together and give thanks to all those things that the Creator has put down here for us. I give special thanks to the winds, the soft winds. And we know nowadays how harsh those winds can get, and we're thankful that we still see those soft winds that bring the changes in the weather. We also give thanks to going up into the sky world. And first we give thanks to the thunders, which bring the waters and the rains and replenish all the streams. And they all have special duties. We give thanks to the sun, who we call our elder brother, the sun, who gives us warmth and light. We give thanks to our grandmother Moon, who works with the women who bring the new life into the world, and also works with the waters. And we give thanks to the stars for their guidance at night, and we acknowledge that we have lost a lot of that knowledge of the stars, but still some of our ceremonies we pay attention to the stars. We give thanks to what we call the four protectors who watch over us as we walk about on earth, and we thank Him for choosing one of our last message from the Creator, the Seneca leader, Handsome Lake Skanyat Dayo. And then we kind of wrap things up with giving thanks to the Creator for all that He's given to us, and that every day and every night He sends love to us. So we're very thankful for all the things that He has given to us. So that's briefly what all the nations, Haudenosaunee nations, go through in each of their gatherings, whether it's ceremony, whether it's meetings, whether it's gatherings like this, large or small. We greet each other, and it reminds us where we are in this universe. You know, we're just a tiny part of it, and that we're here to make sure everything else is healthy and well too. Each other and all the, plus the environment, the waters, the wind, everything. So that's kind of our duty to make sure that the ceremonies go on, that people acknowledge their part and their obligation to protect those things for the next generations. I'm just glad to see such a good crowd here tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those inspiring words to frame this evening. Welcome to the National Museum of the American Indian, and welcome to a native place. My name is John Hayworth, and I'm the director of the National Museum of the American Indian here in New York. And I'm the understudy this evening for our boss, Kevin Gover, the director of NMAI, who sends his regret. He's dealing with a family matter in Washington and couldn't be here, but he's with us in spirit. I also want to send great thanks to Syracuse University, where at this museum we have proud graduates from Syracuse, Dwayne Blue Spruce and Abby Campbell and Ann Drumheller. We are in the Diker, and let's give them a round of applause. We are in the Diker Pavilion of Native Arts and Cultures. The National Museum of the American Indian in New York is literally on the site of Fort Amsterdam and at the base of Broadway. Earlier, it was an Algonquin trade route, and Broadway originally an Indian trail, a trail of hope. We focus tonight on a central and defining image of the Two Row Wampum, and certainly that will stay with us tonight and beyond. The Haudenosaunee people created wampum, the shell beads, belts, and those woven purple and white wampum beads formed symbolic designs and codes. The white beads represented goodness, peace, respect, and happiness. The dark purple represented the hardship, war, and death. The designs recorded oral tradition used for ceremonies and representing significant political interactions with other nations. As all of us become more deeply committed to and engaged in our work in the civic arena, as we comprehend the dynamic challenges of reconciliation, of what it takes to build communities, and strive to be actively engaged in global discourse in meaningful ways, I believe it is good to think about what the beads in the wampum convey. We must be mindful to both the white and purple beads and what they represent. 7 generations before us, 7 generations ahead of us. The duality of the white and purple beads, reconciliation, honor, community, respect. The good people tonight always remind us to be mindful of these important matters. It was in this very room that we celebrated Oren Lyon's 80th birthday in June 2010. It was in this room that we have presented substantive programs about the apology made by the Canadians about the residential school experience, and where Amnesty International's landmark study on the abuse of Native women was launched. Yes, in this very room, the museum was a venue for the symposium led by Pace University School of Law and the International Council on Environmental Law, focusing on international topics. Chief Lyons and my friend Tanya Frickner, president of the American Law Alliance, and who has been a tireless leader on behalf of Indigenous people worldwide through her work advocating on behalf of the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. She spoke that night about the doctrine of discovery and other Native legal and social concerns over the years. In this very room where Pace University presented a major environmental justice award, where some of this generation's extraordinary contemporary Native artists have discussed everything from Native essentialism to how and why they make art. Where Buffy St. Marie will sing her heart out this coming Thursday night, and where that crazy brave Joy Harjo will share excerpts from her memoir, and where the Native perspective are given about the environment, about social justice, and tonight about the Two Row Wampum. We are so honored to have so many champions for justice, for peace and reconciliation, for cross-cultural understanding, for honoring a deep and complex history. Indeed, look around you. Having the material culture and art made by American Indians displayed in imaginative, intelligent, and beautiful ways is important. And given greater emphasis to the historic and cultural context, the stories that these very objects help convey, along with providing a platform for multiple perspectives from Native people, is at the core of how we work at this museum. And that's the core of contemplating what this object and the Two Row Wampum means to our lives today. Honoring and celebrating the indigenous people of the Americas and facilitating telling their stories and histories is a particular challenge for cultural institutions like the National Museum of the American Indian. We simply cannot do our work without the tenacity, the advocacy, and the care of people like all of you. Chief Oren Lyons inspires all of us. Oh, what a wise and articulate leader he is. One who understands so much at multiple levels, especially how important it is to enable living cultures to express and to renew their traditions honoring Native communities. He lives this day in and day out. He breathes it in, he exhales it out, he speaks it, he hears it, he practices it, he lives it, and he loves it all. Institutions like the National Museum of the American Indian need the inspiration of great leaders like those assembled before us this evening. Helping us provide a place at the table is important for Indigenous people. Being included, being a central part of the discussion, being totally and fully engaged, and also part of this broader, highly inclusive work is so important. Leaders like all of you comprehend and understand this deeply, and you urge us to be bolder, to be stronger, to be more articulate, to be more informed, to be more passionate, and to be more caring. We all have to do more. Thank you very much.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many people come tonight to Sharing the River of Life, Honoring Native Treaties, and Protecting the Earth. My name is Philip Arnold. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Religion at SU. I'm also the Director of Native American Studies currently, and also the founding director of a new effort called SCANO, the Great Law of Peace Center. And there are little bookmarks that you can pick up outside the door here. But SCANO is a Onondaga word, a greeting that means both peace and wellness. And this new center is a collaborative effort between Onondaga County, SU, OHA, and Greg Tripoli is here, the executive director of OHA, and the Onondaga Nation, to get out the message of the Great Law of Peace, which was born on the shores of Onondaga Lake. And it's probably the most important story you've never heard. And the point of it is then to educate people about this ancient practice that has been ongoing at the Onondaga Nation since time immemorial to the present day, as you just heard. I want to also thank the Lubin House for organizing this, Ruth Kaplan and Jane Henn in particular. Thank you for that. Thank you. And also, I have to acknowledge our Chancellor, Nancy Cantor, in this context. And I'm going to make her blush a little bit, because really we would not be here without Nancy's bold leadership in the area of Native American Studies at SU. She's literally transformed Syracuse University in terms of attracting more Haudenosaunee students to our campus. When I arrived in 1996, there were a handful of Native students. Nancy came in 2004, instituted the Haudenosaunee Promise Scholarship, and now we have like 160 Native students at SU. It is literally a sea change, and I've seen this happen. It's a sea change at SU, where you're teaching in Native Studies classes and Haudenosaunee students are present. It's transformed the university. Not only that, Nancy has been generously supportive of events we've had at Onondaga Lake, including a series of events called Roots of Peacemaking, one featuring Jane Goodall and Orrin Lyons on the same stage. Other events like the Onondaga Land Rights and Our Common Future year-long series of events. Unprecedented at Syracuse University. And I know, Nancy is stepping away from being our chancellor, and we're all grieving about that at the moment. But we had to, take this opportunity to acknowledge your leadership, Nancy. Also, one of the events that we're now planning at the SCANO Great Law of Peace Center is a wooden stick lacrosse game at the shores of Onondaga Lake, and this is part of the story of the formation of the Great Law of Peace. And so people are very excited about this. And in one of our planning meetings, a stick maker gave me a leather ball, which is a kind of rare thing, a leather ball, and he said, give it to your chancellor. So I have to give this to Nancy. I won't throw it at you, but I'll... All right. All right, I have to read a little bit now because I'm introducing our tonight's speakers, and I don't want to leave anything out. First, Orrin Lyons. Orrin is class of 58, received an honorary doctorate in 93, and received the George Arentz Award at Syracuse University, our highest honor for alumni in 2011. He's a faith keeper of the Turtle Clan of the Onondaga Nation and sits on the Onondaga Nation Council of Chiefs. The Onondaga Nation is the central fire of the Six Nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, or the Haudenosaunee, which translates as people of the Longhouse. A lifelong lacrosse player, Orrin, as an All-American at SU, and together with his teammate Jim Brown, led SU to an undefeated season during his graduating year, 1958. He was later elected to the Lacrosse Hall of Fame and serves as an honorary chairman on the Iroquois Nationals lacrosse team. Upon graduating with a degree in fine arts, Orrin became a very successful commercial artist. He accepted a teaching position with the University of Buffalo and was named a SUNY Distinguished Service Professor and Professor Emeritus of American Indian Studies. In 1997, Orrin was the founding member of the Traditional Circle of Elders and Youth. This council of respected Indian leaders meets annually to provide an avenue for Native American culture to inform and contribute to contemporary culture and political debate. In 1982, he helped establish the Working Group on Indigenous Populations at the United Nations. He is the recipient of the United Nations NGO World Peace Prize. In 1992, he addressed the General Assembly where he opened the International Year of the World's Indigenous Peoples. He served on the Executive Committee of the Global Forum of Spiritual and Parliamentary Leaders on Human Survival. He is a frequent participant in human rights issues in Geneva and recently received Sweden's prestigious Friends of the Children Award along with his colleague Nelson Mandela. Among his other honors are the Ellis Island Congressional Medal of Honor, the National Audubon Award, the Earth Day International United Nations Award, and the Elder and Wiser Award of the Rosa Parks Institute of Human Rights. Orrin is also the subject of a PBS documentary by Bill Moyers and recently appeared in 11th Hour, a documentary on the state of the natural world and climate change produced by Leonardo DiCaprio. He is the author of several books, including Exiled in the Land of the Free, co-authored with John Mohawk. What I'll do is introduce all of them now, and then we'll move to the presentations. Tanya Ganella Fritschner, Snipe Clan, and citizen of the Onondaga Nation, is a lawyer, activist, and professor of American Indian law, and president and founder of the American Indian Law Alliance, a non-governmental organization in consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, and the former North American representative to the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. Tonya served as legal and diplomatic counsel to Indigenous delegations in virtually all United Nations International for affecting Indigenous peoples, especially during the drafting and negotiations and passage of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which sets the minimum standard for survival, dignity, and individual and collective rights of Indigenous peoples globally. Andy Major has been active in movements for peace, social justice, and environmental protection for over 30 years as an organizer, trainer, activist, writer, and speaker. Andy has spoken and written widely on nonviolence and social change, war resistance, solidarity with indigenous peoples and other issues. Andy began working with people at the Onondaga Nation in 1982, when American Indian movement leader Dennis Banks sought sanctuary there. A co-founder of Neighbors of the Onondaga Nation, or NOON, Andy coordinated the development and implementation of the highly acclaimed collaborative year-long educational series, Onondaga Land Rights and Our Common Future, which was carried out in 2006 and again in 2010. Andy serves as the project coordinator of the Two Row Wampum Renewal campaign. And finally, Mr. Pete Seeger, which and words fail me, you know. I went online and tried to figure out what to say, and I'm just going to say that I'm honored to be on the stage with you, Mr. Seeger. But I would like to point out your very important work, not only in social justice and the environment, but on cleaning up the Hudson and, you know, and revitalizing our river. Your work with Clearwater has been so important. So I turn it over to you.
You want me to start?
I want you to start. Sorry.
My voice is not loud. Can you all hear me out there? No. It was almost 70 years ago that I met a school teacher on the reservation on the banks of the St. Lawrence River, Ray Fadden. Yes, give him a hand. He only died recently. And I asked Ray, would he teach me some Indian songs? He said, Pete, our songs are sacred to us, and you should not even try and sing them. However, here's a Seneca canoe song. I'd be glad if you learned it. You have to pretend you're canoeing. Kayo wajine yo, hey hey yo, kayo wajine, kayo wajine, hey, kayo wajine yo, hey hey, kayo wajine, kayo wajine, hey. I'm going to try something I've never tried before. I'm going to try teaching it to you.
Oh, wow.
Now, notice I'm singing up at the top of my range. I don't have a high voice, but if the men sing high and the women sing low, you'll be on the same note. Now that's the Indian way. So let's try just a few words at a time. Kayo wajine. Can you sing that? Try it. Let's do it together. Ready, set, go. Kayo wajine. Yo ho ho. Yo ho ho. Now let's try the two together. Kayo wajine. Yo ho ho. Hey, hey, yo, ho, ho, ho. Hey, hey, yo, ho, ho, ho. Now let's try all those four things. I'm serious. Men reach up high. Women sing in the lower part of your range. You're on the same note. 1, 2, 3, sing. Kayo wajine, yo ho ho, hey, hey, yo ho ho ho.